Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. I am Manahil Remote Jawali and I am joining from the vibrant city of Karachi, Pakistan. Today we are honored to host a conversation with a truly remarkable individuals whose expertise and insights have illuminated the path of many. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our esteemed guest, Mr. Jeremy McDonald's. Mr. Jeremy is not just a renowned professional in the field of learning and development, but also a guiding light in personal growth and spiritual well-being. He is a creative force behind the Lamplight Group and author who has touched lives uh, through his book Peace Beats Still, and a keynote speaker whose words have resonated across conferences and retreats worldwide. So now let's start our conversation. Welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks so much for having me, and it's very much an honor to be here. And hope
It's fine.
everything is well with all the listeners or the viewers.
Thank you. So before moving on, question, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is, of course, Jeremy McDonald, and as you mentioned, I've been in corporate learning and development for about 25 years, but also been a motivational speaker, healer, and life coach for about the same amount of time. And I just was one of those people that I just wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I just went out and did it. And I messed up a lot and learned through my mistakes and grew from there. And which is kind of the nature of my message is to just go out there and do it, make your mistakes, grow from it, and then you'll follow the path that resonates with you.
Yes, you're right. Thank you so much, sir, for your introduction. So now let's move on to questions. My first
Sure.
question is on your screen. Can you tell us about your journey in the field of learning and development? How did you start and what inspired you?
Well, it's funny. I was actually a very shy kid. I was very much into video games and music and stuff like that, and hanging out with my family. And I got a job working for a company called HSBC. And my boss had come up to me. I was probably only about 21 years old, and he asked me if I wanted to teach this class called Foundational Customer Service Development. So I was nervous because standing in front of people is one of the biggest fears in the world. But I just felt right, and so I did it. And so I got what was called the trainer's bug, and I just got super motivated to motivate other people. So I did that class, learned, got certified in other classes like Stephen Covey's Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, leadership development, that kind of stuff. And I just continued forward. And then pretty soon I was managing training projects and learning and development projects. And then I was managing learning and development departments. And through that, that brought me out of my shell, that whole shy shelf, where I was shy and, kind of a shy kid. And I started to just really looking at the inner workings of emotional intelligence and why we hold ourselves back in life. And I got this book called The Stranger Within. And it really started to show me that there's this battle going on inside of us at all times where we want to do something and then we doubt ourselves, and then instead of just moving forward and trying something, we're afraid we're going to make a mistake. And so I just started studying and started making moving forward. So I started speaking for small groups outside of the learning and development setting where there'd be like 5, 6, 10 people. And so as a result, people would say, "Hey, thank you. That was so motivating." And then they'd give me feedback and I'd grow from it and I'd make mistakes. And um, each year, each month, I would learn something new. And I was constantly a student, and that never changes. That's one of those things that's grown from there because I have a love of travel. If anybody can't tell behind me, the pyramid behind me, I have a love of learning about new cultures and learning about new people and about history and especially ancient history. And one of the reasons why I have that fascination is because it's another format of learning. So in corporate learning and development, we focus in on sales training, leadership, coaching, how to develop our people, project management, all this other kind of stuff. But how do we learn that stuff? We learn it through understanding ourselves first. And so, as a leader, if you don't understand who you are at an emotional intelligence level and being self-aware and self-regulating yourself, then you won't be a good leader. And how do we learn those things? We learn those from the ancients. We learn them from the wise people from the past, from the wise people in our current life, that kind of stuff. And so that's one of the reasons why I have a fascination for that. So I've been launching a new business over the past few years where I take people to other countries and other locations so they can learn about that culture. And there's nothing better than getting lost in the middle of a country you're not familiar with and finding your way out and relying on the compassion of other people to give you directions and tell you where to go and that kind of stuff. And so that's really how I got started. I just kept on moving forward and not giving up, because when you make a mistake, we tend to want to give up. But if you step forward and put a foot forward and get back up, then you'll find that it's not that hard to stand back up. It's just what you want to do is you want to learn from your previous mistakes. So
Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful answer. So now let's move on to the next question. My next
yeah,
question is on the screen. What are your key strategies of creating effective learning solution in organizations?
yeah. So one of the first things you have to do in a learning and development session is to find out. You'll have somebody that comes to you and says, um, how do you I've got this problem. I've got this sales staff that's not able to sell, or they're having trouble overcoming objections, or I've got this management team or this team that's very toxic. And so then you've got to do what is called a needs analysis. And so the first step in a learning strategy is to assess the problem and say, oh, this is what's going on here. And so an example of a sales team that is not overcoming objections. So a lot of salespeople have an issue with when somebody questions something and says, "Oh, I'm not interested," or "Hey, what about this?" And objections to a sale, if somebody is if you're asking somebody for their business, when they give an objection, it means they still have questions about the proposition or the value that you're going to offer them. Whatever the product or service is, they still have questions about it. So they won't buy because people buy on emotions. And if there's an emotion of uncertainty, they're going to hesitate on buying. And so one of the things you have to do is you have to work with the sales agents to see where they have uncertainty. Because if they feel uncertain about their product, the customer is going to feel that and they're going to sense that. And so you have to start working with the sales staff to start them overcoming their actual uncertainty about their own product. And so maybe they don't believe in it. Maybe it's something they don't fully understand the product. Maybe they don't understand the value, and then they can what I call extending the conversation when somebody's objecting. So I look at the problem. That's the first thing. Assess the problem. The second step is you have to start building the training to match the issue. So not always is it putting people in a classroom. Sometimes it's coaching them, developing them, having them listen to how they respond or how they interact with the issue to help them become self-aware. And then the third step that I always look at is assessing it after you've created the training solution, whether it be coaching or a class or something like that. And that's just through assessment. It's either through a test or a live assessment, or where you listen to see how they're doing, that kind of stuff. And then you have to see how it impacts overall, not just that particular group that's having the issue. How does it impact the rest of the organization? And so there's a few things that come into that, and that's kind of a basic outline. But the basic learning strategy is that the training course is just, or the solution to the learning and development is only part of the issue. If you don't assess the issue and find the need, then and it may not be training, it may be a behavior issue, where somebody's just having a bad time in their life. I've had employees that were really, their morale was super down and they don't want to perform. Well, they do want to perform, but they just don't have the motivation to do it. So then that requires a whole different opportunity there to help them achieve and get back into performance. So there's a lot of things when it comes to learning development, and those are just some basic ideas. But the big thing is that people learn through experience, and then they build on their learning based on how they associate it into their current jobs or their lives and that kind of stuff. So,
All right, great answer. Thank you so much, sir, for your great answer. So now let's move on to the next question.
mhm.
So, with over 25 years of experience, what are the biggest challenges you have faced in training and personal management, and how did you overcome them?
One of the biggest things is the people, not just the leaders, but the actual people doing the job or that you're training or creating learning and development programs for. So you've got a bunch of directors, vice presidents, managers that all think that they know how people learn. And there's this very much this attitude in some organization, they just need to do their job and get it done. And you just have to, all you have to do is show them how to do it. The problem with that that mentality is that people learn differently. They learn at different paces. And if you didn't target how they learn, because people receive information differently. So um, if you didn't find their actual way they receive information, it's going to be up here, it's going to be confusing in their mind. They're going to get nervous, they're going to have low morale, that kind of stuff. But very often you have management teams that are they want to push how they learn. So, and trainers and learning and development professionals train and teach based on how they learn. So people will say, well, I just need to get in there. They just need to get in there and do it, and that's how they're going to learn. But a lot of times that will cause such an anxiety with employees that it becomes a real problem. But if you take some time to assess how they actually absorb information and how they retain information, then you start to really come up with a strategy to help them be more effective. So that's one of the biggest challenges is leadership. And you have to get the leadership buy-in and make sure that they trust you as a learning and development professional in order to actually make an impactful training. The second part of that is that the people. So if their morale is so low that you're not able to reach them, or they're just there for a paycheck, they're not in the right fit for them work-wise, then it's kind of impossible sometimes to reach them. You can, but you also have to assess. A lot of trainers get very codependent where they want to help fix the situation. And sometimes if you got a call center of like 6 or 700 employees, you can't reach every single person. I mean, you would love to, but it's the reality is that you're not able to do that. So you have to try to find a happy medium between the leadership team, the management team, and the culture that's being created within that environment. So that can be a challenge sometimes as a learning and development professional because you're kind of the go between between all aspects of the business. So
All right, sir, that's really wonderful. Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful answer. So now let's move on to the next question. My next question is: could you share more about the Lamplight Group? What is
mhm.
its mission, and how do you contribute to personal development in spiritual centers and local churches?
Yeah, so the Lamplight Group was kind of a vision of my mother and myself and my mother's best friend. So the idea and the vision that we had is that we were going to go out and inspire other people and basically ignite their lamp, so to speak, their inner light. And it was based on the principle of we're all the light of the world. And so, and what is enlighten and igniting somebody's light do? It empowers them, not makes them powerful. It empowers them. There's a vast difference. It gets them to become self-aware, but more importantly, having self-love in a sense, because if you love yourself, you're naturally going to love each other. And so it really starts developing people to become leaders within their community, and leadership looks different on many, many different levels. And so the idea behind our ministry was to be able to work with different spiritual centers, churches, and now, of course, I work in businesses as well, and really spread that overall across the globe. And so we've had some really cool experiences where we've seen, there's been I've seen some of my ministers in other parts of the country where there was an area where people were really feeling down, and I watched them jump in. Like we had an attack in Orlando several years ago, and I saw my ministers go and make sure there was food and water, and they were more importantly just giving people love that they needed in the hardest points in their life. So other my ministers went out and just really just ministered to people that really needed um, the help at the time that they needed it. So we were a group or an organization of people working together, and so we still are. We just actually a group of us went to Scotland. We just got back last night, and so it was building friendships in other countries. And so the nature of the Lamplight group was a group of people that were following their own hearts and empowered within themselves and allowing their light to shine, and nobody was necessarily in charge or we were all leaders within it. My the original three people that came up with the idea, two of them have passed away, and I'm the only one left that as far as the original creators of the idea. But it doesn't matter because we know that our the essence of our soul lives on beyond this physical incarnation. So that was the other thing, is to help people understand that we live beyond, but it's a different existence beyond this actual physical incarnation. And we all, no matter what the religion we follow is, that's pretty much talked about in every religion, that there's some kind of life beyond this life. And so the other part of that is to love each other and understand them and um, honor who they are and their own journey. So. But one last thing I'll add on to that, we actually did a fundraiser for a local church here many years ago, and they needed to fix their roof, so we did what was called a Raise the Roof concert, and we did a concert with local musicians, raised the funds to help fix their roof, and we did that for another individual that during a hurricane lost their roof. So that was some of the ministry that we did, and I like to have fun, so there's the idea was to not only help people but enjoy doing it while you're doing it. So.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful answer. So, your book, Peace Be Still, can you talk about its main message and what inspired you to write it?
Yeah, so it was one of those things where I lost pretty much everything that meant anything to me in 2006. So going on 17 years ago. And so I wanted to write a book about how I found peace in my life after that. And so I had like a lot of young people, I went out and partied a lot, did drugs and everything else. And so I had an addiction to avoiding, drugs and, just going out and not really having a meaningful, enriched life. And so my book, Peace Be Still, is about how I found peace in my life and wanted to share that with the rest of the world. And so I go into a lot of techniques on how to face yourself, become self-aware, understand why the addictions we have are, controlling our lives, change our inner energy and listen to our inner voice, and use that as a way to guide you in your life. And so, and really just change yourself. I call it alchemizing your inner world from, fear and anger and self-judgment to love. And so that's really what my book is all about.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. So, my next question is, what are some memorable experiences from your time as a keynote speaker at the Holistic Expos, conferences, and the retreats?
Yeah, so one of them was I put on this thing called the Spirit Heart Cruise, and I was one of the keynote speakers for that. And I remember just my favorite part about speaking in front of people is how you shift other people's lives. And I had a experience where somebody messaged me probably a couple weeks after this event, and she said, "You had said something." She found me on Facebook. She said, "You had said this one thing, and it really changed my life enough to where I'm actually going to make the leap of faith and leave my job and start my own business, something I've wanted to do forever." And those are the kind of stories you really enjoy hearing. And I've had those over and over and over and over again, where I spoke at a thing called Victory of Light in Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, and I got a message exactly a couple days later. that's saying, "Hey, you really changed my life because of your story." Because I'll speak from my own personal stories, and I thought that was really powerful. To really think, "Hey, my words and my experience help somebody change their own life," and that's the reason why I do this. It's not necessarily for anything else other than wanting to share with people that, hey, we're more than who we think we are, and we deserve to have a life of happiness and joy and fulfillment and really just experiencing our life to the fullest. Now, it doesn't mean it doesn't come with lessons and growth, but that's a part of the actual journey. And so, yeah, there's a lot of things. So that those are two of the biggest ones. That same day, I got an email from somebody that they really, my book impacted their life, and so that was, um, I think those are really cool experiences when you've helped people shift something in their life.
All right, sir. That's amazing. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. So, my next question is, how do you use social networking to connect with the diverse audience and promote your services and causes?
So my method for using social media is maybe different than everybody else's, but I have this feeling when I post everything that I'm having a party, and my party on my social media, the people that want to hang out at that party are there. And so I post things that are very authentic in the moment when I'm inspired. So it's one of those things like I might wake up this morning and I have a thought on my mind and I'll write up a post about it and really just write it in a way to where it's helpful for other people, but I welcome conversation because hey, it's supposed to be a party, and at a party we do what? We hang out, we have conversations, we talk about philosophy, we joke around, we just really enjoy each other's company. So obviously I do promote my businesses or my services. So one of the things that I do is I actually post things about my own life. A lot of times people on social media want to just share that hey, I'm doing these services. Nobody likes to be sold to. And however, people buy services based on their emotions. So if you engage with them and actually become their friends and actually don't act like they're some kind of number that's going to buy from you, chances are they're going to want to find out how you are able to do the things you're doing. So, like people ask me, like, how do you travel all the time? How do you do all the things that you do? And so that's part of what I teach is this is how I do it. And so then I post pictures of me enjoying my life with my friends and going out to dinner and those kind of things. So that's part of it. You post your life. It doesn't have to be your entire life because nobody wants to hear all of it. And the second part is post things that really get people engaged and help them grow, and you can grow with them. So it's not just about you teaching, because remember, we're all teachers and students. So just as much as your students, your students are you're their teacher, they're also your teacher as well. So if you understand that, you can actually grow and interact, and people welcome engagement. And then yeah, the third part is you say, hey, by the way, just so you know, I'm offering this service, whatever that is, or product or whatever that is. But if you just post that, hey, I'm doing this for whatever amount of money, people are probably not going to engage with you because they don't want to just see that. What they will see is if you're posting things about your life and you're engaging with them, they get to know you as a person, and then what you post are things that inspire them and actually learn and talk with them and engage with them like you were at a party. And then hey, at a party they're gonna ask you what you do. You'll be like, this is what I do, and they'll be like, hey, I was looking for somebody to help me with that. Then you avoid all this unnecessary headache of um, putting your information out there and nothing happens. And so one of the things I will tell people when they want to learn about social media and how to use it is I was like, hey, when you're hanging out at a coffee shop or you're hanging out at the mall or you're at a restaurant or you're at a party, people are going to ask you what you do for a living, and then you tell them, and you don't sit there and go into sales mode. You go into, hey, you hand them a business card or whatever, and you don't hand them a business card because you're necessarily want to sell. You're handing them a business card because you're making new friends and contacts. And so somewhere along the lines there might be a collaboration, there might be you might have lunch or coffee together, and or you on Zoom or you're on StreamYard or something along those lines. There might be something there where you guys can build a business relationship, but you'll have already been somewhat of friends before you do it. So that's how I use social media. I use it to make contacts and connections with people, and it's less about selling my products and more about building that energy with them.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable answer. So, finally, what advice would you offer to those starting their careers in learning and developing or personal development fields?
So one thing I will tell you is I don't care what it is. It could be learning and development or personal development. You're always a student. So continue to grow, continue to look at opportunities, read books, watch videos, find people and ask them questions. Find people that are doing what you want to do and ask them questions. There is nothing, nobody really gets upset about you asking questions. And so oftentimes I have people say to me, well, I don't know how to do that. And so, but how I learned is I was constantly on YouTube, I was constantly asking questions. And yes, I would jump out and do things and make mistakes. With learning and development, I took courses, I read books on how people learn, I got my degrees in adult education, those things, it's constant growth. And that's one of the best things you can do. And then take risks. I've wrote courses and they bomb. They're not the best course. And I look at it and then I retool it and look at it and make it even better. So, but the truth is you continue growing and learning, and then you apply it in your actual real life, in your programs and your trainings and that kind of stuff. And then you look at it and see if it works or not. And if it doesn't, that's fine. Then you go and you just retool it and learn something new and try something different. And so that's one thing I would say. And then also in learning and development, remember, train based on and look and assess how people learn. That's one of the key things, and pay attention and really be the observer of your training class and who you're teaching, whether it be in personal development or in corporate learning and development or in a spiritual center. People learn this. We all are human beings and we have different ways of learning. So pay attention to your audience and how they grow and learn. And the last thing I'll say to that is start reading the books or watching the YouTube videos or watching things that'll help motivate you, develop you, and help you grow your knowledge base. And or even find a mentor that will help you. And so you do those things, and you're going to be very, very successful. And that's pretty much it. That's all I did. I was like constant growth, constant learning, and that's what's made me successful in this industry.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your advice. So, to our conversation come to the close. So, thank you so much, sir, for sharing your very valuable answers. So,
Yeah.
I'd like to express her deepest gratitude to Mr. Jeremy for sharing his invaluable insight and inspiring stories with us today. Your journey and the impactful work you are doing in learning and development and personal development are truly motivating. To
Thank
our audience, thank you for being with us and for engaging in this journey of discovery and inspiration. I hope you found this session as enlightening and uplifting as I did. So, thank you once again, sir, for your wisdom and time. It's been an absolute pleasure. To
thank
our
you.
everyone for watching and listening, this is Manahil Timorja Wali from Karachi, Pakistan, reminding you to keep learning, growing, and seeking the light within. Until next time, and thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, and have a blessed day.
It-
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Have a
Bye bye.
wonderful day.